Good evening and HBD to ERIKA from Marathon P. I know that you're outside eating because you're getting ready for 100 miles. I wanted to send you the biggest, warmest, most positive vibe-filled, happy birthday wish from your fellow 100-miler in training runner outside on these streets that used to run me. We're outside eating. Don't leave food on your plate. Remember, we're the lucky ones. I'm sending you big hugs. Thank you for having me on the show. And I'm sending you the biggest happy birthday wish from Marathon P straight to you, ERIKA HBD. Let's get it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 63 of the On the Runs podcast. And happy birthday to my amazing podcast, rockstar, superhero, co-host. Some people call her Ehim Sajam, 6-star ERIKA. She's a marathon maniac, would totally be an NSYNC groupie, lover of all things flamingos, and I'm super excited that the pod is dropping on her birthday. ERIKA Hamill, my wicked awesome co-host. Happy birthday.
That was the best intro I've ever heard. And honestly, I can't tell if I'm just blushing or if I'm sunburned. It's blush.
I've been so pumped. Even like 5 minutes ago, I'm like, wait, tomorrow's your birthday? No, I was totally kidding there. I knew it was your birthday. I've been so excited for your birthday.
You pulled a fast one on me.
I've been so excited. I was like, wait, it's not next Tuesday? I thought it was next Tuesday. How are you, and how are you celebrating your birthday?
Well, I am certainly doing way better now. not that I'm doing bad ever, but I never work on my birthday. It is a personal holiday for me, so I am taking tomorrow off. I will be listening to the pod, of course. And honestly, I'm spending my birthday doing a bunch of live Peloton classes and trying to get those birthday shout-outs.
Oh, that's so cool.
Well, what kind of nerd am I?
You'll have to take like a list of the ones that do, and then we'll make like a reel of all of them saying happy birthday.
Oh. I mean, that would be fun. I will see what I can do. It won't help, though, if they do like pre-class, like before they start recording the, like when you can rewatch the classes. Because sometimes they do drop the happy birthdays in the pre-show.
Yeah, but yeah. Well,
still
screen
pretty
record
fun
the entire time then. So,
oh, God.
It is Monday night, actually. Your birthday's Tuesday. It's 10 of 10 right now.
Yes.
So your birthday isn't.
I got, 2 hours and 10 minutes before I turn 37.
But
Oops.
I think you already got a gift.
Oh, yes, I did. I was playing with it while we were trying to get our, as Rachel would call it, our poop in a group. You like that one?
It took us a while today. Computer updates and everything and dinner. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, lucky we didn't have an episode interview tonight. We would have been screwed.
Yeah, we were like, just 5 more minutes, I swear. That's all we need. And
we had to first cancel because we wanted to go on a special run. Second, we canceled because I was supposed to travel for work. That got postponed for a few weeks. And then we decided to still go on the run, and then that got postponed because of the weather. This weather's been crazy, too.
Oh, it's been awful,
Let's see the gift. Show me the gift. Put it in front of the camera. Yeah.
You ready? So technically I bought this for myself many months ago, but Brandon did pay me for it. So I got myself a brand new Garmin watch. This has like ultra track mode. So this will be able to last for when I do my Yeti 100 down in Virginia at the end of September. So it's got like 30 hours of battery at minimum, and that's how long. That's my cutoff. So if I can't last that long, then
the Ultra.
I don't deserve a Garmin that does.
Right.
So yeah. So can't wait to play around with it.
That's super cool. Nice gift you got there. The surprises are not over though.
They're not. Oh boy.
Nope. Are you ready for this? Something I've been working on for a few days, if not even longer, actually. Really a few days.
Really?
I got a video to play for you.
I don't know if I'm ready. Are you going to make me cry today? Please don't. I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
Good evening and HBD to ERIKA
Happy birthday, Erica. Hope you have a great day and have a great run.
Happy birthday, Auntie Erica.
Happy birthday, Erica.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Erica.
Happy birthday, Erica.
It's gonna be a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Erica.
Happy birthday, Erica. Cheers.
Happy birthday, Erica. Cheers.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Erica.
Happy birthday, Erica.
Erica, happy birthday.
French here,
Oh.
and I just want to wish you a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Erica.
I wanted to send you the biggest, warmest, most positive vibe-filled, happy birthday!
Happy
Oh my God,
birthday, Erica.
Happy birthday, penguin. Happy birthday, Erica.
Happy birthday, Erica.
That's my favorite.
Happy birthday, Erica.
Happy birthday from the Buckeye State.
Happy birthday, Erica.
Birthday, Erica.
Erica, happy birthday from your favorite ginger.
Happy birthday, Erica.
The girl.
Happy birthday.
I am literally crying from laughter and from so much like love. Oh my God. That was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Oh my God.
Thank you,
I
Riverside,
can't
for
with you
giving
right now.
me the
Thank you
ability and
so
the capability
much.
of doing this. My favorite, I don't know if you could hear it at the end, but the Rollett's kids, his son goes, "Who's Erica? Is that a boy or a girl?"
Oh, is it a boy?
I knew you
I'm
would love
just
that.
laughing seeing Neil eating chips. Oh my God, there were so many awesome friends. Oh, the throwbacks. Oh, you guys just made my whole life. This community is just so amazing. And I'm wiping my face with a random piece of toilet paper that I found in this room. So just appreciate that too. Oh my God, this was amazing. And now I have to be on camera.
There was
Thanks a lot, guys.
one more shout out that you got that missed the video
my God.
because I just got it in the last hour we've been trying to set up. Finally came in. So that's not the final edit. I need to
Oh, really?
honestly, I might have to get rid of one of Neil's clips of eating the chips to fit it in, but the reels wanted 90 seconds. I'm not the expert yet to have
Don't you dare.
third secondary program. So I'm trying to fit that all. Everybody sent you
I
like really
see.
long messages. And like we're talking 30, 40 seconds,
Oh,
some just
my
12, but
God.
like I cut so many to just the happy birthdays. With the exception
feel
of
so
Maurice,
lost.
who
I
got
can't
like
even
probably
right
12
now.
seconds in on that. So Maurice, it was fitting because it's his episode and we'll get to that. But
Oh my God.
yeah, everybody was first like,
Yes.
Well-
That was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. I love you
But
all.
Neil-
I love you all so much. You make a girl feel
the
special.
Neil was pretty. Yeah, don't tell Ashley I did all that there. She'd be like, "You didn't do something like that for my birthday." She hates surprises, anyways, but she actually knows. I was so
won't say
excited. You know how I always share
Ah.
everything with you right away. I'm like, I'm so excited for this
Yep.
reel. Check it out. I'm gonna
How
post it
long
later.
were you working on this? I knew that you made me go away. I was over across the parking lot when you were talking to like Lindsay and Kim and Sheila and everybody, and so I figured you were doing something, but never in my wildest dreams would I have
Everyone.
thought that you
Everyone
reached out
There's
to like
some people who are
everyone.
missing.
everyone.
I'm sorry if I missed you. I think
guys
I
are the
reached out
best.
to everyone that I really like. I really thought would want to be a part of it. And like last minute, I've asked. I go to Sarah Halleck. I go, Sarah. You know,
Mhm.
she was the very last one. I go, I haven't gotten your video. I can't do this without your video.
Just we need a
Well,
part 2 now.
I will
That'll
post-
just continue to make
I
my
will
life
post that
so much
tomorrow
awesomer.
on your birthday, and I will also send you all the
You
full
guys are
clips
great.
that everyone sent.
And I will watch them like throughout my entire day and probably every day
I'll
for
probably post
until my
every
next
full
birthday.
clip in our story tomorrow too. Tomorrow will be just like an Erica birthday day. Now that's going to be
Tag me in it. I'll share it, and then maybe I can I can add it to a highlight reel on my thing or something. Or that would be really nice. Shit, am I gonna have to do this for you?
no, you can't copy me. That's the thing. You can't copy me.
I don't have the skills.
You could do.
I totally don't
you
even have the
could do
skills.
this next year or fall, but you can't do this less than a month later. My birthday's in less than a month.
Well, maybe the gift
July
that I got
22nd.
you already for your/our birthdays will be enough to kind of make up for this. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, like that's so my thing is like, okay, so we actually we messed up last week's episode, but we talked about Mother's Day and Father's Day, and I had Father's Day, and I said, it's not a competition, but if it was, I lost or I won because I got the griddle, but
you won and you lost.
But I did a terrible job this year on Mother's Day, but it wasn't really my fault because she took the van and the van had the car seats and left us abandoned in our house. Like the plan was.
Well, you get the redemption for birthday, right?
Well, my birthday is 6 days before hers. So I see what she does for me on my birthday. And then I got 6 days to, rally and like, okay, I did better. Or whatever.
I gotta do a little something more.
It's the same for this, though. That was what I did for your birthday. No, you can't copy. You could do it next year or the year after when you get better with your Instagram reel skills there. I'm not that good at it either.
I'll work on it, man.
I downloaded like a free 7-day trial of this editing software on your phone for this kind of stuff. And the Instagram or TikTok applications just work better anyway. So I'm canceling that before the 7 days is up.
There you go.
But I was trying, I put in some time, but not time. It was more just waiting. I started asking people, I think Thursday of last week. And a lot of them, I was kind of not frustrated, but more like, just they're like, I'll do it later. I'll do it. Can I give it to you by Saturday or Sunday? And I'm like, yeah, but just hit video and give me a happy birthday, Erika. But they did better. They said some really nice things. Did you see that Karen was dressed as a penguin with her dogs?
Yes, I did.
And Ron,
trust me, I'm gonna have to watch it again just because like I saw so many friends and I saw like Lena and Lori and Ruth Ann and Mary and Tom and everybody. Honestly, my heart is so like full right now.
So with Lena, I was thinking to myself, I got everybody, but where's Lena? And I'm like, I can't find her. I'm like, what happened to her Instagram? She paused. She like muted her Instagram for a while. So I found her on Facebook. Again, we talk about it. I almost never go on Facebook. I found her on Facebook.
Right.
And I shot her a message and she sent me one back. So she like paused or muted her Instagram or whatever. Everyone takes a social media break for like the summer or whatever.
It's healthy.
Right.
It's healthy.
A healthy break. So that was a lot of fun.
I just can't wait. I can't wait to watch.
I had
it
to
again
get
and
Neil.
again and again and again.
Get Neil. And I love how
it was amazing.
I love how I did the clips of the chips, like a couple, like a bite of the chip, and then a couple other happy birthdays, a bite of the chip. By the way, he wanted me to let you know that he recorded that while on the toilet.
Yes. That man is just, I don't know what it is. Anything he does, he could like sneeze and I would laugh for like 10 minutes. Like, I don't know what it is about him, but thank you, Neil. Amazing. Just everybody. You just made my pre-birthday, birthday, post-birthday, forever.
So the one who didn't make the cut, because I just got the video, I need to give her a shout out. It was Nicole Bryan and her son Jackson.
Oh my god!
They will make the final cut some way somehow. I have 1 second left on the reel, so I might shorten 1 or 2 of them up. I did a lot of little minor editing with it to get it within the 90 seconds.
I think you could get rid of like maybe like a half second here and there of Neil's crunching. I'll allow it.
Yeah. You'll have the original.
Oh man, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much.
Maybe my favorite podcast intro we've ever done.
I am quite biased at this point. Yes, that was my favorite thing.
Everyone really likes you, and it's a ton of it.
Well, I like everyone back. You guys are all fantastic, and literally just made my life. So thank you.
This podcast has been so much fun meeting. Half those people we met here on the pod. So
honestly, I'm just so in awe right now. I'm still like, I don't know if you could tell, like I'm still like tearing up. It's you unleashed the waterworks and now they're never going to stop. So That's why I sound a little stuffy.
Well,
too.
why don't we let you recover here?
Oh, well.
And let's cut to our interview. Who the first man you
Yes.
heard on that video, Maurice the Marathon Panda. Oh, wow.
Positivity always.
This interview we had with Maurice was awesome. A long time coming because we kind of met him. You'll hear all that. You'll hear how we kind of met him back in August, but not officially. And we kind of befriended Lori. But in between all that, people started saying, you need to get this guy Maurice. And we're like, yeah, we saw him at a race and he was really loud. And he was yelling at 3 a.m. And we're like, who is this guy? So
you guys are not going to want to miss this one. Marathon Panda Maurice.
Our next guest on the pod is from the heart of Rhode Island. Sometimes he runs in a panda hat and sometimes in a suit, but always with the most positivity as he continues to spread his love and joy across Instagram with all of us. It is our pleasure to have on Maurice Lowman, a.k.a. the Marathon Panda, to the On the Runs podcast. What's up, man?
What's up? Happy Tuesday evening. Thank you both for having me on here. Wicked excited, as you can imagine, to, talk.
I think we're the excited ones, man. It's been a long time coming. We are so happy to have you. So welcome to On the Runs.
Thank you again for having me.
It has kind of been a long time coming because we've never officially met until now. We've talked on Instagram, but last August is the first time ERIKA and I both saw you. So I want to quickly tell you how this happened and how we found you, because we didn't even know Lori or anyone else at the time. We're there with one friend. Her name's Katie, and I'm helping crew for ERIKA, and Katie's husband is there. Katie is now in the transition area where the aid station was and all the food. And you ran by, and she's like in mid-sip, like, it hits me. She goes, you need to get him on the podcast. And I go,
oh, well, thanks to Katie.
I go, who is he? And then I go, well, get back out there, go run, and tell me later. And so that's nighttime. We go through the night. I sleep. I go back out on the course with ERIKA around 5 o'clock. ERIKA doesn't know who you are yet, and I haven't mentioned it. And then all of a sudden, she's in one at 5 o'clock trying to get through 2 more hours. And here you come, loud and just all this positivity. You're like, let's go. And she's like, who is this guy?
I was in awe of your energy at that point in the race, especially knowing that you had twice the race to go. Like, you were not even halfway done at that point. So I was just like, how is he doing this? I am exhausted. Like, and got to give you props.
At the same time, I'm like, oh, Katie was talking about him, and she says we have to get him on. And ERIKA's like, oh my God, I just need to finish this race.
And then we kept seeing you go by, and I was like, all right, I can get in on this now. Like, I'm done. I'm happier. I was just all about your positivity, and I don't know how you did it, man. It was actually, last year was a decent day. Not the humidity and heat, but like,
it
still,
was my
it was
first
rough.
time. It was my first time. I volunteered there a couple of years prior, and that's how I caught the bug. And obviously, I'm in the circle with Lori and Paul. I'm lucky enough to have her as my coach. So I caught the bug. I volunteered because I knew Paul would be at that event that year, and I caught the bug. I qualified for the 24-hour with the 12-hour at the Hamster Wheel, which is a wicked cool race. And I've embraced that role of being the cheerleader on any course. I say the same thing all the time, whether it's some local half marathon or whether it's a trail ultras. I guess I can say I have, I got some experience with that stuff.
You do.
So it's mutually beneficial because I love passing out the positive vibes, but when I get some positivity back, it fuels me as well. And it reminds me that that's why I'm out there, because it's not all easy. Before we jumped on and started recording, you heard me mention there was some times, even during that particular ADU event, where I had to remind myself, hey, you're the positive panda. You wear shirts that say positivity always. So what are you doing with these negative vibes? So it's a mutual thing. I love passing it out, and I love being the acknowledgement for it. So thank you.
It's honestly our pleasure. Like, I got so excited just knowing that you're out there, and we need more people like that because it does lift everybody up and it helps. So that's just such an awesome thing you got going on. And we can't wait to hear about your whole story and how you got started with your ultras and running and all that stuff.
Yeah,
right.
and I think, we're a storytelling podcast. We want to hear your story and the stories within your story. So I think the best place to start is when you were a kid and when you were around your grandmother a lot. Tell us about your grandmother and your childhood.
So I like that question a lot. I feel like maybe you might have done a little bit of homework on me. So
he's good.
You're making me feel.
You know what
special,
it is? You know what the best part is? I do the homework, and I don't really ask ERIKA to do much because I love for her to hear it for the first time. So I kind of know what I'm going to ask, and I love to see her reaction because it's like a true, honest reaction.
I love that, and I really appreciate the question. So a lot of folks want to know what the Panda is about and where it came from. I call myself the Marathon Panda. I go as far as saying you can't call yourself the Marathon Panda if you're not outside running marathons. So I stay outside and I run a lot as much as I can. I'm really fortunate for that and grateful for that. As a kid, track and field, running, it just wasn't on my radar. I was always active with everything from Little League baseball to Pop Warner football to CYO basketball. But I joke around, and it's not really a joke, it's the truth. I was the kid that they put in for 4 plays because he showed up at every practice and his mom was in the stands, making sure that she got to see him. So I was the participation trophy winner in all those sports, which is great. But I never excelled at sports. I loved it. I enjoyed it. But I was never like an all-star level. Back up a little bit. And as a toddler, my grandmother gave me my very first panda bear stuffed animal. I never left anywhere. I never left home without it. I went everywhere with it. I started asking questions about the panda bear and like asking for posters, and National Geographic was a big thing in my grandmother's house. She used to get me the subscription. But the only animal I seemed to really get excited about was the panda bear. And she'd order me these posters and special books and everything. And then she used to tell me, as I was growing up, you're going to be a runner with these strong legs. And I can remember, like, if as little as being able to sit on her lap to not being able to sit on her lap, she would still kind of like give me a smack on the thighs and on the quad area, I guess, and say, you're going to be a runner with these strong legs. And once again, junior high school, I never even grasped it. Track and field, running wasn't on my radar. As a young adult, running became my go-to exercise when I wanted to relieve stress, when I wanted to build some self-esteem. And as a young adult is also when I started to get into making bad decisions. So fast forward past all the youth athletic stuff. I've graduated high school. I graduated a tech school after high school, and I'm working. I was always a full-time sales professional, but I struggled a lot early on in my early 20s with alcohol and drug abuse. We can talk about that more. But that was my biggest struggle. Where I'm going with that is I would use running as a way to kind of shake off, a bad Friday night. If I woke up on Saturday feeling like, for lack of a better term, maybe dog poop.
Like a
I
Code
would go
Brown.
for a run. I'd go for a run, and it would lift my self-esteem. It would make me feel a little bit better. For some reason, running was that go-to exercise. Even though I knew nothing about it, I just enjoyed it. I would have like these motivating conversations, like kind of kicking myself in the butt, telling myself that I'm better than the decisions I made last night. I'm better than the decisions I made last week. And it just gave me this opportunity to be with my thoughts and kind of face my thoughts. And I really enjoyed that. But when I say I was never consistent with it, the never needs to be in the biggest capital letters ever. I was never consistent with it. This was a once in a while thing that I did. I'm not saying it was like even once a week. This was a once in a while thing that I did. When I got serious about my sobriety and my health and my wellness, I immediately turned to running as the most consistent thing. And there's even a cool story where I was in this men's program right here in Cranston, Cranston, Rhode Island, and we weren't allowed to leave the facility for the first 90 days. So I was only allowed out in the parking lot, and I couldn't wait to go outside and just jog around that parking lot every single day. And I did that consistently. And I can remember the first few days how sore my legs were walking up the stairs at night and so forth. But I said, I can't wait to go back out there and do it again tomorrow. And 20 minutes turned to 30 minutes, turned to 40 minutes. And I can remember the first time I was able to jog for 60 minutes consistently without stopping. It was such a mental and physical victory for me in my head. And then there was some really cool things that started to happen. There was a woman that volunteered at that facility, and she pulled me to the side on a Saturday morning. And we're probably talking, I'm still brand new in this program, 60 days into this men's rehab program, 70 days into this men's rehab program. And this woman pulls me to the side and she said, "Oh, Maurice, come here. I want to show you something." And she gifted me a brand new pair of Asics running sneakers with the story that her husband was a retired high school track coach, former marathoner. She would go home and tell him, this guy Maurice is at the program, running his butt off in the parking lot every day with some of the other guys joking about him behind his back and to his face, and he just doesn't care. He stays consistent. So she's going home and telling her husband all these great things about me, to the tune where they decided to gift me a pair of Asics running sneakers. And it was just such a tremendous gift, because it just showed me that, like, wow, this is like, it kind of made me think, like, this is what I need to be doing. And as corny as it may sound, it was like, it was the first open door from running other than the mental and physical freedom that I would find. And I was like, this is like really, really cool to be recognized, B, to be gifted with something, C, to just kind of, have that positive encouragement from somebody that never even met me to be like, keep doing what you're doing. And from that moment on, I had the idea of running a marathon in my head. I didn't know anything about the distance, about the history, about the sport, about the community, about qualifications. I mean, I didn't even know what an 800 meter was. I didn't know about track and field events. Once again, I knew that there was track and field. I knew it existed. I had, a buddy that ran it in high school, but it was just so far away from my radar. I was just very naive to it. And even as a young adult, seeing track and stuff on the Olympics on television and stuff, it wasn't something that I grasped. And I'm so grateful for my growth over the next 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years, growth in knowledge, growth in maturity. So that's a little backstory before I get too far off track. And then, so to just finish off on that, when I started getting serious about the running and stayed super consistent with it, I can remember the first time I ran for 2 hours. It was always about like how far I could go. I had a couple of, major slip ups in life, but running was always my go-to thing. And I signed up for my very first half marathon, and it's a really cool story, because I was literally, a week released from prison. The race was local. And I show up at this race. I think I bought a pair of Brooks running sneakers, like on the clearance rack at a local Marshall's, having no idea what I was doing. Show up at this half marathon. I run the thing. A woman at the end was like, "Do you know how to look up your time on the computer? You just put in your bib number. You can see your time." So she showed me, and she immediately said, "Dude, you did awesome. High five." And she gives me this high five, and I was like, where has this been my entire life? Once again, don't get me wrong. I played the youth sports. I did the youth stuff. I know what teamwork is. I know what camaraderie is.
Community.
But it was this missing piece, because I had struggled so long doing so many negative things with my time, with my body, with all that stuff. So to find something so positive, it was like an immediate, where has this been my whole life? I want more of this. And I was like, thank you. She's like, you rocked it. Awesome time. And I didn't even know what, you know what I mean? It was just, everything was so brand new to me. I was like, when can I do this again? Signed up for another half. I think I ended up doing 6 before the end of the year. It was just nuts. And I just tried to, And then I got into the marathon distance, and I did 6 in my first, 3 months or something like that. And then I just kept challenging
You're
myself.
like
and
a maniac, marathon maniacs.
Immediately, I joined
Oh, you
Marathon
did?
Maniacs, I think my first year of marathoning. Yes, yeah. But not to get too far off track, I immediately embraced that role of being a cheerleader because I was always so excited. And I'm like, all of us should be excited. We're all out here doing this really cool stuff. And I never really lost like that, hey, this is brand new. Like, we're lucky to be out here. And I build off of it. And over the years, I've continued to build off of it and just embrace that cheerleader attitude and role.
I love it.
I just love that so much. Honestly, that's the person that you want to encounter in all of your races. Even, you know what? Even just running outside, like could be a practice run, and you see a neighbor or something, and they just give you a wave. Like, that just makes me smile. So if you're giving off that energy to anybody you see, they're giving it back to you. It's just such a mutual appreciation.
I'm a waver.
It's one of the best parts about the running community. It just, I love it so much.
I'm a waver. I'm a happy
Good.
Tuesday guy. I'm a happy Wednesday guy. And that was what I said. One quick story about that is I would go to this local when I told you couldn't leave for 90 days to back up to the program.
Yeah.
Once I was able to leave, I couldn't wait to go to the local track that I knew was there. And I said, I'm going to train there. I'm going to train there. I'm going to run sprints around the track, and I'm going to get fast. And I just had this idea in my head. So I would go up there, and I would run so hard. And there was a young lady up there, and she was running. She was doing push-ups. She was doing pull-ups. She was doing sprints up and down the hills. And then she would do the track. And I'm like, this is pretty badass. Like, and I would always give her a wave and a, hey, great job. And for months and months, I never received anything back. And I can remember one Saturday afternoon, she said, you know what? You're working really hard out here. Great job. Keep it up. And I'll never forget how good I felt. I was like, because I wanted to be noticed, obviously.
Honestly,
but I was like, I looked up to her and her work ethic and her discipline, and she was out there. Every time I went out there, it seemed like she was out there. So to get that acknowledgement from someone that I didn't know and kind of looked up to was just, I can remember being fueled so much by it. And it really still resonates with me to this day. And that was, 14 years ago.
14 years ago. So is that when you started running in the parking lot? Or was
yes,
okay.
Yes, that was the same year.
So I want to ask you this though, because you, if I'm right, you self-volunteered to go into that men's program for a detox for 90 days, right?
Correct.
But there's a few other times though when you didn't really get to self-volunteer and you went away for a little while, but you looked at those as an opportunity, no matter if you chose for yourself or not, right?
Correct. So there were times where yes, so I have been locked up a few times. I'm very vocal about my past, and I've always used it as a positive thing. I joke around and say it's a free rehab, but not to be funny. It's serious, and there were times in my life where I really, really needed it. There was one time in particular where I had fallen back into hardcore alcohol and drug abuse after being clean and sober for almost 3 years. So it was it stung. And I was inside the courthouse and the judge sentenced me to 1 year. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me because I had never been sentenced to more than like 90 days. So the 1 year was a real true wake up call. And I was at a point in my life where I told myself, I said, you don't have any more of these left. Like I say things all the time about how I would get sentenced to 30 days, to 60 days, to 90 days, numerous times where a lot of grown men and a lot of grown women, something like that happens to them. And they say, holy smokes, I'm not going to let that happen again. Like that stinks. Like, going to jail is not fun. It's not, I don't wish it upon anybody.
Right.
Unless you're out there breaking the law. But all of my stuff was always, silly stuff that was associated with drug and alcohol abuse, stuff that most adults can snap out of or grow out of those habits. And it seemed like I was making those mistakes over and over again and kind of just becoming immune to it and just really wasting wasting valuable, precious time in life. And I talk about all the time. I could wake up every day and be discouraged about the time that I've wasted and lost, or I can be grateful for all of the opportunities that I have in front of me now, and the freedom and the sobriety and all that. So I choose the latter. I choose to, be grateful and not be discouraged. But that 1 year sentence, I used it as a, hey, this is it. You need to study. You need to work out. You need to be serious. You need to get mature. And I did. I took like a college writing class, a college poetry class. I was, I was doing Bible studies. I was doing the push-ups, and I was jogging outside every single day. There was actually a guy in the facility that they called Boston, and the rumor was that he had ran the Boston Marathon several times and was in there for some white collar stuff like mortgage fraud or something like that. And he was like the yard coach, and he used to tell me not to worry about speed, but to worry about how long I could run without stopping. He said, you want to get to the point where you can spend this entire recreation time running without stopping. He said, stash a water bottle over here, stash a water bottle over here. And I just thought it was so cool to get this, this kind of coaching and guidance from somebody that people like really kind of looked up to there. And I got to the point where I could run the entire 2.5 hours without stopping, only stopping to use the water bottles. And I remember just being so pumped up about that. So right after that, when I talked about doing the half marathon right after being released, that was the sentence where I got released and did the half marathon. So I had so much like mental momentum going into that half. I was telling people while I was there that I wanted to do a marathon. That was the year of 2013 when the Boston Marathon bombing occurred. Yeah. So we saw it on television, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, look at what happened. And it just kind of like, I was such an outsider looking in. I just remember wanting to be a part of that and starting to gain some respect and knowledge of the history of the sport, and specifically of the Boston Marathon.
I want to know, have you ever reconnected with Boston since then?
I have not. But one really cool thing is there's a local half marathon in East Providence where several years later, I'm getting close to like mile 12. And I think from 12 to 12.6 is like a steady, pretty decent hill. And I look over, and it's a gentleman that we spent several months together, running together in the yard. We worked in the kitchen together. He was another gentleman that loved to run. And we both looked at each other and we was like, you gotta be kidding me. And I was like, you should be so proud of yourself. He's like, dude, you should be so proud of yourself. Like, look at us. And it was such a cool moment. We gave each other the high fives. I didn't want to, I'm the most like affectionate person like out there on the course, like to the point where people I think have to tell me like, Mo, kind of calm down sometimes. I think I wanted to like hold the guy's hand and run across the finish line. I don't think he was a hand holder though. So
no.
that didn't happen.
Why not? I can't figure out why. That's awesome.
But it was such a cool moment because we recognized each other and we were both doing what we did there, but outside being free. And it's just like it was just such a cool moment.
That's a perfect lead for a story I got, a tip from an insider. All right, so You got all the energy. You want to hold hands, high fives. Let's talk about when you went to Providence to PR and Lori was pacing you.
So everybody knows, anybody that follows my journey and knows my attitude and my style, I hear things all of the time from my friends, from close friends, from Instagram friends. Hey, Mo, if you didn't stop for so many selfies, you probably could have ran a little bit faster. You probably could have got that sub 4 if you didn't take 11 selfies and pass out high fives at every single stop and everything. And I get it, and I always say things like, it wasn't a BQ attempt. It wasn't I'm not going out there chasing an OTQ. I'm not going after
you go in every race with a goal.
Yeah, I'm not a podium guy. It could just be a
long run or something, right?
Yeah,
you're just going for it.
I'm not a podium guy, so I always would choose the fun, the high fives, the energy. Yes, when you're yelling and screaming at mile 11, it's wasting a lot of energy, and it takes quite a bit of time to regain that. And I've learned that. I remember one time getting to mile 13 of the Newport Marathon and just being so, or the Cape Cod, whatever one, or maybe both, and just being so pumped up and hyped up and yelling and screaming and stopping for selfies. And I said, holy crap, you got 13 more miles to go. So under Lori's coaching and guidance, she said, listen, if we're going to do a PR attempt, there's not going to be high fives. There's not going to be selfies. You're going to be dialed in. You're going to keep the energy low, and you can save all that stuff for after the race. Now, I agreed to all of this, obviously, but I was still a little anxious that I wasn't going to be able to live up to expectations. Well, not only did she coach me throughout a training plan up to the race, that day at the Providence Marathon, she dedicated her day to me. She's a faster marathon runner than I am, okay? She has plenty of faster times than I do under her belt. She decided to pace me every single mile, all 26 miles, with the pace plan in her head that she knew would be an exact PR for me. She obviously, she knows she's a scientist, for God's sake, so she knows. She knew exactly what pace plan to run. So we're starting off, and I made all the promises that I was going to stay, dialed in, energy down. And I was immediately proud of myself for actually living up to that expectation. I can remember being at an early mile and seeing a family member, her and her kids, and I would usually stop and hug and selfie and high five, and I just said, I just blew a kiss and just stayed dialed in. And I can remember hearing Emma say, I've never seen him so focused. And that actually hyped me up. And Lori just kept saying, focus, focus, focus. But the coolest part of the race, okay, and there were so many cool parts. The coolest part, because we're talking like she's screaming out 8:33. This next one needs to be 8:33. This next one needs to be 8:28. No joking, no messing around. 8:27, let's go. Whatever the math was, 8:11, let's go. Whatever the math was, she knew what it was. She knew what mile I had to do X amount of pace at. And when I started, my thing is I always search for excuses and let myself find them. I do, okay? At the end of races, I search for excuses and I say, Maurice, you just found them. You're tired, your lungs hurt, your legs hurt.
That happens to the best of us.
You can power walk for 90 seconds. You can run a 10-minute mile because you just did a whole bunch of 8:30s. Well, guess what? When you wake up the next day, you're like, what the heck? You didn't train to run 4 10-minute miles. You didn't train to miss your PR by 11 minutes. You didn't train to miss your PR by 17 minutes. And there were so many post-marathon blues that I experienced because I let myself search for those excuses and find them. And that's the best way I like to describe it. So when I started to mentally and physically slow down, she gave me the best, most epic on-site coaching and hype ever. She was literally yelling at me, and I would never be offended. Yelling at me in like a hyped up cheerleader coach, strict, stern way. Like, what are you doing? You're not going to lose your PR pace. You're not going to slow down. You're supposed to be the Marathon Panda, Maurice. These are supposed to be your streets. You yell about it every day. What are you going to do? Are you going to let the streets win, or are you going to win? And it was
she's holding you accountable.
Yes,
yeah.
And it was but it was consistent. It was consistent throughout miles like
I love it.
22, 23, where I always fade. And she knows. I'm her athlete, so she obviously knows. She knows my style, and she's like, "You're not going to give up your PR because of this. You're not going to give up. Don't give up on me now. It might hurt now." This is what she said. She said, it might hurt now, but waking up tomorrow and missing this by 1, 2, or 3 minutes will hurt even more. And it was everything and more that I needed. And then there was a point where we were in India Point Park and somebody was yelling my name and she's like, he's gonna PR, leave him alone. It was just, and I'm like, yeah, she was like, don't, it was I don't know if that's exactly what she said, but that was the vibe I got. And she was and at the same time telling me don't pay attention to that person, pay attention to me and my watch and your watch. And it was everything that I needed because I wanted to slow down so bad. And if I slowed down and I woke up the next day by missing a PR by 3 minutes or 4 minutes or even worse, like I had done so many times, and I would always and I look back at the times where I would wake up the next day and go run like a 10K just to be hyped up on Instagram, and I would kind of tell myself, like, if you just ran a 10K the day after a marathon, maybe you didn't run hard enough on Marathon Sunday. Maybe you didn't, you know what I mean? And maybe now that I'm like more mature about this stuff, I'm like, you're just running the 10K because you feel stinking bad for like missing your PR on Sunday. Like you didn't work hard enough. And so the fact that she guided me to work hard enough to get that PR, it was just so epic.
So it worked. She got you there, right?
Oh, it worked. Yeah, I PR'd by 2 minutes officially or 3 minutes officially. It still stands as my marathon PR 341. So 21 minutes shy of a BQ, which I'm probably not ready for this calendar year, but next calendar year, the plan is to go after a BQ in my new age bracket.
That's nice. That's nice.
Those age brackets, man.
Got a 5 minute window.
You got a plan. I love a plan.
Yeah, of course. Panda with the plan. And we hashtag that.
That's just so awesome. Like Lori's a great.
I love it. Hashtag Panda with the plan.
Yes, hashtag Panda with the plan.
So we talked a little bit about Lori, and we personally love her so much on the podcast. And it's kind of funny because we've never actually met her in person either, but I feel like we already know each other just through social media, and she's just such a wonderful, wonderful person. But how exactly did you meet her and get her to be your coach and all that good stuff?
So
she's wonderful.
She is wonderful. She's the definition of grit, and she's awesome. And she puts up with me. So I ran 4 marathons once in the month of October just to say, hey, I ran 4 marathons in the month of October. I signed up for, I think, Newport, Hartford, a local one, Black Goose, and New Jersey, maybe. I don't know. But there was, I'd have to go back to my records. But there was 4 of them in the month of October. I did all 4. And she reached out to me on social media, and I was excited that she recognized that she was following me and said, don't, like, pretty much this is the way I remember it, and I might be wrong a little bit, but she was like, don't take this the wrong way, but if you're ever interested, like, it's a great job for lacing up and completing 4 marathons. Not everybody can say that they did that. If you're ever interested in quality over quantity, actually training a specific pace, training to race the 26.2 distance, training to planning to run a certain pace for the 26.2 distance and not just show up and complete it. I'd love to help you get there. She didn't have to, I knew who she was on social media, but once again, I feel like this was at a time where like I just had so much growth and maturity to go as far as running and marathoning and including social media. Like I mean, she's accused me of doing things for Instagram likes before, and I don't think she was that far off the mark. So let's just say that. So we'll get to the hanging in the sixes. So she was basically offering her coaching services, telling me like, I'll be your coach. Like, I'll help you do this. Like, just let me know. And then she told me that, she had just become certified. But I mean, I did a little bit of digging and realized that she was like, this accomplished ultra runner, former Ironman. Like, I was like, holy smokes. Like, this person wants to help me. So I always have the attitude that anybody that's like an OG pioneer, anybody that's been there, done that, like I look up to. Like, I'm just this guy that loves to do this stuff. And the coolest thing about the running community is the inclusiveness. I say that all the time. Like, I'm just some guy that loves to do this, and we get to share the same course. We get to do the same thing as people that compete at all levels, whether you're former Division I, whether you're chasing an OTQ, whether you're a triathlete doing the marathon distance for a training run. Like, it's so cool to be included. So when she offered it, I said yes, heck to the yes, immediately. And it took some time for us to grow our relationship into a friendship. And I mean, I can remember the first time she called me out. I had posted something on Instagram about running like this 6 and change mile. And I wasn't doing it as a cheater. I was doing it because I didn't know any better. I honestly and sincerely didn't know any better. I would run as fast as I could, pause my watch, run as fast as I could, pause my watch, and then when I got to 1 mile, I said, wow, that only took like 6 minutes and 10 seconds. And so she was like, dude, that's not a 6 minute and 10-second mile. Like, you can't pause your watch in the middle of a mile. That's not how this works. Like, she was like, why don't you, we're going to get you to do some 800s. And I didn't know what that meant. Like, once again, like, here I am as an adult, like, that kind of stuff was just always off my radar. I didn't know what an 800 was. I didn't know that my watch could record it. Like, so it's as silly as it sounds. I was naive to that kind of stuff, and she helped me. And I thank her so much for the guidance, the coaching, the patience, the tolerance. Like, I think she literally realized, like, he really doesn't know that he's not running a mile, you know, like I wasn't cheating on purpose is what I'm trying to say. To just like to post to fast mile. I just didn't know any better. So once she told me, dude, like, that's not how you do this. Like, this is how, if you want to get fast, you need to practice some 400s, practice some 800s, some 1600s, you know, and then run a mile all out without pausing the watch. And then that's your fastest time. So I think she gave me some props when I recorded my first mile in the 6s, and it was really hanging in the 6s and not just hanging in the 6s with an asterisk next to it.
What year was this when you guys actually met and started training together?
I would say after 16.
Okay.
2016, yes, because I'd have to check my records. I forget when the 4 and 4 was. If it was the 4 marathons in 4 weeks was either 2015 or 2016. I have a spreadsheet, but I don't have it with me now.
That's fine.
Well, that would be right around the time you started something that is still going on today, your run streak, which I think started on 1/1/26. Yeah, just a little bit.
Have we heard of
I hear about it on this program, this platform called Instagram, and I think you just hit your 2700th day a couple weeks ago.
So it's funny that you mentioned that. I mean, once in a while, I mention the fact that I run outside every day. Might have mentioned the streak before, but if I haven't, here's a chance to talk about it. So at a family Thanksgiving in 2015, my son's stepdad was like, hey, you know, you should do a 100-day run streak. Now, I had been running consistently, you know, once again, naive to a lot of things, brand new to a lot of things, using like Runkeeper, Nike Plus, brand new to Instagram. And I didn't want to sound like, hey, like I'm Mr. Cool Guy. Like, I already do that. So I said, oh, sure. I said, I can do a 100-day run streak, you know, and he's like, it'll help you stay accountable, and you got to do it every single day, no matter what. I just finished it. So I'm thinking to myself, I can do that. And not only can I do that, I'm going to do it all outside. I'm going to start January 1st, 2016, and I'm going to do every single run outside. So the first question was, well, what about when it rains? What about when it snows? What about if there's a hurricane? So I'm like, well, that's the whole point. Like, I'm going to do it outside.
You get
like,
out there.
Like I feel, and I've learned and matured about the benefits of treadmill running over the years, but I'm still a hashtag no treadmills on race day guy. That's might be on my tombstone, but being really like dramatic about that. But what I'm saying is, on January 1st, 2016, I started running outside every single day, and I'm pretty proud of the fact that I've never skipped a day since then. So I did recently hit 2,700 days. But with all that being said, there are people out there that have done multiple decades in a row. I think the Guinness Book of World Records is over 60 years or something like that. And the guy had to stop for medical reasons. Yeah. And then supposedly there's a guy in Miami Beach that does 2 miles every single day outside, no matter what. And they held like a parade for him when he hit like 25 years or something like that. So I might have the facts a little bit off, but I'm just saying there's people that have been doing it. So I have this thing where I say, not the fastest, not the strongest, and dang sure have not been doing this the longest, but positivity plus gratitude equals momentum. You know what the song is. So I say all these things because I think I'm cool and come up with these rhymes. And
You are cool. I love it.
I appreciate
I
you
love
saying
it.
that because it's something like I'm influenced by like the hip hop culture, but I want to do it in a positive way because there's so much negativity associated with the culture sometimes. So I like to use the little bit of knowledge I have about the hip hop culture and sprinkle it into my Instagram shenanigans and my running stuff. So
I have to say I appreciate you. Most of the time you put the closed captions there for me. I really do appreciate that. Yeah, so about 53 years to go until you can get the Guinness Book World Records.
Yeah, so quite a bit.
Well on your way, though.
Yeah, 7 years in.
You're doing it outside, and you're doing, what are you averaging per day?
So I think my year-to-date average has slipped below a 10K. At one point, the streak it's close to a 10K per day. It slipped below that. It's in the fives when you do a rolling average. I'm in the 5 mile per day neighborhood. There are plenty of days where 1 mile outside is enough for the streak, and it can be slowed down to enough of like a power walk with a jog in there, because we're talking post ultras, we're talking and it's funny, recently I had a long treadmill run prescribed on my training plan, and I would never.
That was next on my list.
Okay, well, let's go right into that.
Like specifically a treadmill
So
run.
yeah,
You had to do it on a treadmill.
And I do everything and anything that Lori tells me to do, and I always will. So I hope she listens to that and knows that. So she had me do 6 hours on the treadmill, and
a 50K, right?
50K. So what? The point of that, and we're going to get back to it, is I got home that evening, and obviously I'm scrolling on Instagram and I'm feeding off some of the positive comments that I had, and people were like, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. That's such mental grit. Like, how'd you do it? And I'm eating a bowl of cereal. I think I was having like a bagel, for like a nighttime snack. And I realized it's like 11 p.m. and I hadn't ran outside yet. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to break the streak. I said, I got to go outside. And I like immediately stopped eating my cereal, put on some sneakers. Yeah, because I had this vision of like waking up in the morning, forgetting to run the mile outside. And I would have broken the streak. I would have felt like such a knucklehead. So that was just recently. That was within the last few months. And other than like, I was hospitalized just very briefly, just for the day for food poisoning / dehydration. And but I hadn't ran that day. So the only thing that I was thinking about was the streak. I'm like, I have to get out of the hospital.
That would be an awful way to end the streak.
Yeah, I said, I have to get out. So I got discharged like at 4:00 in the afternoon. And I remember doing a power jog around the neighborhood to keep the streak alive.
Not to talk about me, but I tried to do a streak once, and I made it, I think, to 49 days. And I knew this one day in particular was day 50. But I woke up at 5:30 in the morning to go on like a 40-mile bike ride with a buddy of mine, and we're talking gravel bike ride, so a little more to it than the road. And I put my daughter to bed, knowing I still have to go and run 2 miles. It was 2 miles for me at least.
Okay.
And I fell asleep on her bed, and I remember waking up at 3 a.m. and I was like, I can't believe I screwed this up.
I had the vision of waking up without having run outside. And then the other time was when I went to crew for Lori in Death Valley for Badwater, which I'm wicked privileged to be invited back this year to be part of her crew. Yes, going back to Cali, hashtag LL Cool J voice. I had missed my, and this just goes to show how naive I am about some things and inexperienced. I had missed my flight out of Boston due to the fact that I did not check my luggage. I had my boarding pass. I thought I had everything I was supposed to have going on, but I had not checked my luggage, so I couldn't get on the flight. Missed my flight, got to the West Coast super late, had to take this crazy 4-hour Uber ride from the Las Vegas airport to the Death Valley hotel, got dropped off at the wrong hotel, or the wrong hotel location. I was about a mile out, and I'm not going to wake the runner. Like, I'm not going to wake Lori. I'm calling her boyfriend at the time, now husband. I'm calling our other buddy, the running gator, and I'm panicking. And then the first thing I'm thinking is, wow, it's like 11 something. already because the time change, and I didn't run in Rhode Island that day. And I'm like, if I don't run before midnight, I'm going to break the streak. So I put my luggage down and I'm like doing this little jog around the parking lot, and Paul and Mike came to pick me up in the rental car, and they're like, dude, what are you doing? And then they realized, they're like, he's doing the streak run. He's doing the run streak. So they were like cheering me on and took a picture of me and everything, got me all hyped up. So it all worked out. I didn't break the streak.
Good men. Oh my gosh. That is nerve wracking. I've got my own streak going. Actually, Thursday, which is June 1st, that'll be 3 years for me. So, but mine, I allow myself to walk, and he gives me crap for it. So I don't know. It's my streak. I'm doing what I want with it.
It's a run walk streak. It's a cool streak, but it's a run walk streak.
So there's an ask.
I don't apologize.
I'm proud of her.
My disclaimer is, especially now that I've gotten to the point where I'm doing the ultras and stuff, there are plenty of 1 mile power walk, there's some power walking going on in there just to get it done, to say I was outside for at least a mile. As long as that GPS is logged, then it counts, and then I do
treadmill runs, so because sometimes I am doing them at like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm not going outside for that. So
but imagine a 50K on a treadmill, Erika. What kind of mental pretzel does that put your mind into?
You mentioned it, and I just kind of I inwardly cringe, because I think the maximum I can do without getting bored is 10, and that's even pushing it. So I give you so much credit for that. I think Lori's a little bit sadistic.
So we got another workout to talk about that. People have said that is pretty crazy. But I actually loved it. But that 50K on the treadmill, it was a huge PR. I think my PR on the treadmill prior to that was 18 miles. And when I'm doing the workout, I
blew it up.
Yeah, I kept looking at my watch, and I'm like, Mo, you haven't even been on here for 2 hours yet. This is going to take 6 hours, minimum. And I was and then towards the end, I'm starting to take breaks. I would stop my watch and go to the bathroom, and I'm like, well, wait, this isn't going to add to the distance. You can't just keep taking breaks. That's not going to help. And it was just, once I got to the 24 mile mark, I think I was like, all right, you're going to finish this. But there was some struggles between miles 16 and 24, however the math shook out. There was some pretty big mental and emotional struggles, but I was really, really, really excited to finish it. I felt super accomplished. And it was really cool to finish. But there's another epic workout that she's prescribed. And it's the 40 by 800 outside on the track. I've done it once in warm weather, and then one time in a cold frozen sleet. And I actually shoveled the track for 60 minutes in order to do the workout. Shout out to my friend Josh, who brought me mocha espresso in the middle of the workout to keep me motivated. But people were like, why would you do 4800s? But it was just, I love that kind of crazy challenge, because once again, I'm not this super fast, super strong guy. So to have somebody have that kind of faith in me that I can do something like that, it was just such a cool workout to check the box on, and it teaches your body and your mind to run fast at the end of a long day, whether it's a marathon or whether it's something longer than that.
That is insane. I need to know. So before we get on to the 40 by 800, because that just is blowing my mind right now too. How did you get through that treadmill 50K? Did you listen to music? Did you watch TV? How are you keeping yourself?
You watch
in
a
the
Friends
game?
marathon all day, or The Office? or wait, no, Lori probably wouldn't let you watch TV because it's a mental battle.
No,
probably makes you.
She's not.
She probably makes you stare at a white wall.
No, it's not. She's not opposed.
Give her some
She's
credit.
not opposed to me listening to music. I did a couple of podcasts. I think I did a little bit of the Goggins podcast and maybe a Rich Roll podcast as well. And then a Rambling Runner podcast. But mostly music. My playlist was getting a little repetitive and boring, so I kind of switched over to just, whatever was on Apple Music. It's sad to say I haven't learned how to use the television on the treadmill at my local gym correctly, so I can never get the volume
You did it at your own gym?
no.
Oh yeah. So the lady that worked there thought I was absolutely crazy because she kept going by to like clean the area, and she was like, "This dude's still running." And prior to that, a couple weeks prior to that, I did a long one, and when I left, she was like, "You were on there for a really long time." So the next time, I think she had to clock out, and I was still running, and she was like, "This guy's still going." And there was a shift change. It was hilarious because there was a shift change, and I was still going. And I remember thinking, like, that's pretty cool. You can't quit. You can't quit now. And I do these things to give myself like mental motivation. I'm like, it's cool to be recognized for doing something crazy because it pushes you to keep going.
That's awesome.
And now getting back into that 40 by 800. So what you're working speed for that. So an 800 is a half a mile. So
yes.
Right. And like,
yes,
so that'd be 20 miles.
Did you have like recovery laps in between? So like, what was your total mileage that day?
Over 24 and a half miles, I think, if you include. So my recoveries were generous. They were, at least 90 seconds, probably 120 seconds, probably even.
Oh, that's not that good. Be like that.
Some of them might have been stretched to like 3 minutes towards the end. Because I was working hard for the 800, and I would just tell myself. Yeah. And I remember one time, there's a woman, Jessica Sugar Runs, on Instagram, and she used to talk about how she would get through hard workouts by just looking forward to the recovery. So I would tell myself, well, you get to rest for a minute and a half. You whatever the recovery was. I think they became more and more generous as the workout progressed. So I would look forward to that minute and a half, to maybe sometimes 3 minutes. And I don't think I went longer than that between the 800s, but I just kept saying, like, get to the halfway mark, get to 25. Get to 30, and once you hit 30 of them, you're not going to quit and not do the last 10. You
can't at that point now. Much kudos to you for that.
You.
That just, that's insane. So is that what I can look forward to if and / when I get Lori to help me
I hope
do
so. I hope
24-hour
she
anchor
gives
down?
you some crazy stuff so we can talk about it on a future episode.
I don't doubt it. I will be reaching out because you can commiserate with me.
I think it's going to be great content for many, many, many months on the pod about Lori coaching.
All right, Lori, I'll say 2024. I'm yours.
That's next year.
2024.
She said it.
That's next year. I said it.
You've had one coach before, right, Erika?
Yes, but not for an ultra.
All right.
So
I mean, she wins 100. So if there's anybody that you want to coach you for an ultra, it's her.
Lori.
She wins 100s, and she also did Badwater, and you got the invite last year. Tell us a little bit about Badwater and your experience crewing for her. Besides missing the airplane and running around the parking lot, tell us about the actual event.
So the event is absolutely insane. You're in the middle of Death Valley, and if I describe this correctly, you're at the lowest point of elevation. They start at night, and she actually ran the race with the serious injury. So I'm sure you know that. And there was some time cutoffs. And as a crew, myself, Paul, and Mike, we had some concerns about her not making the first time cutoff. And we, as the hype man Panda, where do you draw the line between trying to hype somebody up and stuff like that? I didn't want to be over the top, but I also didn't want her to think that I wasn't cheering for her. And it was just so cool to see something just click and I think it was mile 14 or something where she just started clicking away miles, and 15 came and 16 came and 17 came. And before you know it, we're like, she's in this, like she's going to do, I mean, you have so many more miles to go. It's a 135-mile race, but I think that was the timetable between mile 1 and mile 14 where we were all like, wow, this is not going according to plan. This is not going the way A, she wants it, and B, we want it to go for her because we're all excited to be there. And it's a privilege to be on a crew for anybody that's in an event like that. So when she started clicking away and the miles started adding up, and it was so much fun. I mean, there's this picture of of her and Paul, and they're eating McDonald's Egg McMuffin sandwiches, and like all you see is just the two of them with the Egg McMuffins, and the backdrop is like mountains and the desert, and it's just like this epic. It should be a poster. It's just epic, and I felt so cool because like I had the task. Well, I shouldn't say just me. It was me and Mike. We went to go get the sandwiches because we were close enough to a town in Lone Pine, California, where we could go get the sandwiches and come back and get them to her and Paul. And it was just such a cool experience to be part of that and to witness her grit through it. I mean, when we're talking about, she had a serious foot injury to the tune of it being broken, fractured, in several places. And
oh my God.
for her to grit through that and not give up and say, like, I came out here to get a buckle. I'm not going to go home without a buckle. And that was the attitude. Her attitude was, I didn't come out here to not go home with this 135-mile Badwater finisher buckle. That's what it was all about. And when to see her accomplish that was amazing. There were other amazing individuals out there chasing the same buckle, and to see them make it happen was just incredible. One of the veterans of the course came back and was like, you're Laurie Mitchner. Like, we know who you are. We know what you're going through. Keep it up. We're all cheering for you. Like, what you're doing is so gritty. And it was just awesome. She was literally inspiring people out there because the word got around that she's doing this on a broken foot and she's not giving up. It was pretty badass,
That is unreal. I can't imagine what I would do in that situation, but I don't think I could push through a broken foot. I mean, my mind is blown. Like 135 miles in the world's toughest foot race. Like, are you serious?
It leaves you speechless. It does. It really does.
I want to know one more crewing story. I love crewing. So that was your first time ever crewing, right? Or have you crewed before?
That was my first time.
So tell me about one more Badwater story here. Tell me about the desert flies.
So there was a point in the race that I remember, and my mileage was so low compared to, say, somebody like the other two crew members, Paul, Laurie's husband, and then Mike the Gator, who has several 100s and ultras under his belt. I'm clicking away, a few miles at a time as a crew member, passing out hydration, helping if she needed, snacks or anything like that. And I can remember one time starting to run, and the heat was just exhausting. And I love the heat. It was beating you down. The flies were coming. And I can remember swatting myself, I was like, this is like crazy. But I kept telling myself, if you open your mouth and complain, because I looked at my watch and I had done like 1.3 or 2.3 or whatever the mileage was at that little segment. And I'm thinking, she's been doing this for like 90 plus miles, like 100 miles. Like, you better not open your mouth and complain. It doesn't matter how many flies are biting you. It doesn't matter how hot your feet are, how hot the sun feels on your neck. You can't complain. You have no business complaining. So that's how I remember the desert flies. There was another time I went to sit down on the ground, and I think there was like this scorpion or something that looked like it was from another planet, and I was so scared. And I remember thinking, like, you shouldn't be sitting down at nighttime in the desert.
Oh, I thought he was going to say, you better not open your mouth because those flies are going to go in there.
That
like,
too,
that's
but no,
where
I
thought the story
couldn't
was
open my mouth to complain. I had no business complaining because she was gritting out like the most crazy performance, and I was only out there for a couple of miles, and I had a van waiting for me with hydration and everything inside of it.
2 years ago at ADU, I remember the mosquitoes being awful, and they're huge, these huge mosquitoes, and I couldn't sleep because they were in the tent and they were in the car, no matter where I went. I couldn't even get a nap as a crew guy, and I was just like, this stinks, and it was so hot and humid. Yeah, and Erika's out there just still running. I
was out there chafing.
Just fast enough to keep the bugs behind
dream.
her.
You've crewed at Badwater, but I want to hear more about the races that you've done. So if I recall from your Instagram, you've done 5 Boston marathons, which is an incredible number. And I know you've done some crazy ultras. So let's get into those.
So really cool. Thanks for the question. In 2017, I received my first charity invite for a small nonprofit called Technology for Autism. A friend, Amy of mine, couldn't follow through with the fundraising. I think she was doing a bunch of stuff with her own studying and with her kids and everything. So she asked me if I could take the charity bib and raise the money, and I did. And I got my first taste of Boston in 2017 as a live charity runner. Was instantly hooked on the environment, the experience, and I realized, how special Boston really is. Once I hooked up with Coach Lori, she introduced me to the Rett syndrome community and asked me if I would be interested in potentially joining that charity team. And at this point, I say the same thing all the time. I just feel like I've matured and learned so much. So to be able to, I have the attitude that all year round, I'm running around town saying, hey, my name's Maurice. I run marathons. I'm sober. Listen to my story. Hey, look at me. I get that. So to be able to do something once a year for another part of the community that's not all about me, it's a big privilege for me. So to be part of the Rett community for 4 years, 3 live Bostons, 1 virtual when it got canceled due to COVID. And we had the idea together, Lori and I, that I was going to do it in a purple suit, just, to raise awareness and to jazz up the attention level for me running as a charity runner. I take a lot of pride and gratitude in the role as a charity runner. Once again, I get to do something I love and I'm so passionate about, and then be able to contribute, even if it's just a small contribution once a year financially, with the donations, and then with my, yapping around town and social media and stuff. So the first year, the suit came in and it wasn't purple. It was supposed to be like this heather violet color. They build it online. It wasn't purple. It was gray, but it was a suit.
I saw that.
And I ran the whole thing in the suit, and it got a lot of positive feedback, but I think it missed the mark on it not being purple, and purple's the color of the Rett charity. So I had a suit ordered. It actually came in the day after the 2022 Boston Marathon. So I had it for a year, waiting for 2023. And I was able to wear it this year for the Boston Marathon. It received a bunch of positive feedback.
We saw you out there.
It was heavy. It was polyester, and it got wet.
Oh, it was raining
got wet really
too.
quick. So a wet polyester suit was a lot of fun. But I also have this attitude that if I had taken it off, and I said this the first year I wore the suit, if I had taken it off at any point, then I wouldn't have been the guy that ran the marathon in the suit. I would have been the guy that came home with an excuse like, oh, it got too hot, it got too uncomfortable. I ran half of it in a suit, and then I ran with just the pants, and that's just not, that's not me. I have this thing where I say results are greater than excuses. I did the Run to Respond, another event that Laurie introduced me to, where we raise money for first responders. And I have a special place in my heart for that, because first responders have saved my life. So, her and Paul were legends in my eyes, because they did the whole state of Rhode Island. They did every leg, and I wanted to do that. And me and my buddy Jason did it one year. Long story short is I got lost in the town of Westerly with like what I thought was 2 miles left in the event. It ended up turning into like 4.8 miles, which with 50 miles on your legs is a big deal. But I kept saying, because I was getting calls from not only the race support vehicle, but a couple of my friends that were like, hey, do you want us to come pick you up? You did great. You ran 50 miles. But then I would have been the guy that came home and said, well, I ran 50, but I ran 51, but I didn't make it to the border of Connecticut. I didn't run the whole state because I got lost. So I kept saying, you're not going to go home with an excuse. You're going to go home with the result. And that's what helped fuel me to finish and not come home with a excuse, come home with the result. The results are greater than excuses. My very first 100 was the Javelina in the desert.
That was this last year,
That was
right?
in October. Did that with Paul, Chris, and Mike, and it was just amazing. I say the same thing often. Miles 40 to 70 were probably the most difficult because of the mental and emotional low points that I hit. Physically, I was at a low point. I just felt my feet were broken. I felt tired. I started losing my mojo. I was telling myself I wasn't trained. I wasn't ready. I wasn't strong enough. What are you doing out here? You're not ready for 100. What are you doing? You're not even at 50. You're not even halfway done. And I'm like, you can't have negative thoughts and be the positive panda. And you can't finish a 100-mile race with negative thoughts. But it wasn't enough. The negativity and the emotional lows didn't leave for quite a while. And I say the same thing often. Between 40 and 70 was really, really difficult for me. And
how'd you get out of that slump? Like, was it just a mental thing, or did you have somebody helping you kind of pick yourself up? Like, how did you persevere?
It was me. I pushed myself through. I actually had to stay away from somebody that had some more negative thoughts than I did. They wanted to drop to the 100K, and they were talking about how hard the race was, and it was too difficult, and they DNF'd before, and I'm going to drop to the 100K, and I knew I couldn't be around that. The coolest thing about Javelina is the aid stations are all staffed by people that have done the event before, so they all know what you're going through. They all seem to have the right things to say at the right time, and they just kept saying you're going to do awesome, you're doing awesome, you're going to do this, you can do this. And there were a lot of positive, energetic people out there that were crushing it. And I said, I want to be a finisher. I don't want to be a non-finisher in this event. So it was the same, the grit that you have to do one step at a time, 1 mile at a time. I remember keep looking at my watch, and the miles just weren't adding up. When I thought I was at 48 and I was still at 42, it was like, when is this going to get to 50? When is this going to get to 60?
Right.
But I turned it into positives when I was able to experience another sunrise. I think another sunset and then another sunrise. And I used it as you get to be out here. When else are you in the desert? When else do you get to see this beauty? When else are you in Arizona running a 100-mile event? This is it. So you're not going to not finish. I do much better with the sunlight, with the heat. So when the sun came back up, I really just told myself this is it. And I had made it to 70. So what's 30 after you've done 70? That's the attitude I've had. Yeah. In the grand scheme of things. Yeah. So, and I get that kind of inspiration from the social media community, from seeing other people grit through 100-mile races where you read a post or you listen to somebody's podcast and they're like, hey, you're not going to quit at mile 75. You're just not going to do it. You made it 75 miles. Why would you stop? So the gratitude helped. The fact that I knew I could run 30 miles, that helped. The fact that it was sunny and beautiful, it all added up. And I was like, you're going to do this. The 3 gentlemen that I was with, they were all going to finish. They were all waiting for me at the finish. So that was awesome. And I ran some of my fastest, I don't want to say miles, but I ran some of my fastest little splits towards the end. So and then that kind of mental victory was if your legs are still working, then they're going to work for another 25, another 26, another 27 miles. And it was that buckle is, I look at Javelina as one of my coolest accomplishments. And obviously I want to talk about the recent DNF that I had, because that stings still, but it's fuel moving forward. So I did the Riverlands 100 this month in May. Trained wicked hard for it. My ultimate goal / dream / vision board item is to do the Badwater 135. They just raised the requirements. You can't do 3 100s. You have to do 4 100s to apply.
Oh boy.
So I thought Riverlands was going to be number 2. And I went into it trained and ready and felt stronger and more confident than I did in October. And I got timed out at mile 80. I didn't make the 88-mile checkpoint. So it wasn't because physically and emotionally I couldn't move forward. It was because I didn't make the time cutoff. But other people did. I think out of 81 runners, 31 finished and 50 didn't. But I didn't want to be part of the 50. I wanted to be part of the 31. So
that's understandable. That's a really big. That's kind of a big DNF rate. Was this like a really hard?
It was in Turner, Maine. It was extremely difficult, but you know me, I'm not looking for excuses. There were people that finished.
Oh, absolutely not. But I was like, wow. But there were a lot
Correct.
who did not. So I'm just that's a flag for me. Like what were you getting yourself into?
Thank you. But 80's not 100.
80 is not 100, but it's 80. You got to give yourself some real pat on the back still. But yes,
That's
motivation
right.
for your next one.
I was going to say, if you have to do 4, and what's the next one? Is it ADU or is there another one before?
So ADU doesn't count because it's a 24-hour event. So I have a big goal for ADU this year. I did 90 last year after previously never running more than 56. So 90 was a huge victory for me. The A goal was 80 and the B goal was 70. And so to hit 90 was fantastic. At the shout out to How Was Your Run Today? They had me on their show after the race, and I said, hey, why not go for 110? And that was a year ago, and it's still the goal. So this August, I want to go for 110. I know the course. I know the course very well. I grew up in the area. I have the opportunity to go out there and train on the course, and I don't think it's going to come down to just strategy and grit to get that big number. I want the buckle at 100, but I want more than that.
Well, and you love running in the heat.
I love it.
And that's the second half of the race. It's in the heat.
Yes. So to answer your question, the next 100 would be the Mid-State Massive Ultra in New Hampshire in October, and then the Daytona 100 in Florida in December.
That's from like Jacksonville to Daytona. You run down the coast. Yeah. I know someone else who I think he attempted that this year.
Laurie's done it.
Yeah, that one would be cool. This has been awesome. This is we have so much more we could totally cover. So we're gonna have to have you back one day.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
But we have a couple big final questions we have for you. And then I got one other one I thought of in the meantime as well. So I'll go first. I pick a Instagram photo. Sometimes I go digging real deep. This is lame. I didn't have to go that deep for this one because I really want to know, just before Boston, you posted a reel and you collabed with TB12. And I want to hear about the TB12 reel and how that happened.
So really, really cool story. And it actually is a really cool story. So I started facing like some hamstring stuff a couple years back, just like an aggravation, and to the tune of like it was slowing me down. At the same time, I was also gaining weight. I was losing my mojo. I was getting self-conscious about posting on Instagram, and I was supposed to be the Marathon Panda hype man and all this stuff. And it was just really affecting me. I pulled out of the Narragansett Road Race full marathon because I had ran a half marathon a couple weeks prior, and the hamstring was just really, really flaring up and aggravated, causing me a lot of pain. So I said, you can't run a marathon if you can't run a half pain-free. So why don't you be smart and go seek some professional help? My health coverage covered a local physical therapy office. Fast forward through a few months of treatment there, and I get introduced to a gentleman, Alex Burke, who at the time was transitioning out of that role into a role at TB12. And not only did we hit it off on a client basis, we became friends because he was new to the marathon world. He looked at me as having experience. I looked at him as having medical knowledge because he's a real doctor of physical therapy, and I'm just a knucklehead. He said, don't take this the wrong way, but you're just not strong in areas where a marathon runner should be strong. Like, you're going to continue to face injury, continue to plateau. I mean, I was really bummed out. I was plateauing. It was way more difficult for me to run, say, a 1:45 half marathon, where that used to be like my bread and butter. I could wake up and run 13 miles at 1:45 like it was nothing, or 1:55 or something like that, which isn't fast by any means, but I'm just trying to throw the gauge out there. It became really difficult for me to do something like that. And he said, don't take this the wrong way, but you're just not that strong. And if you don't focus on strength training and recovery, you're not only going to plateau continuously, but you're going to get injured, and you're going to risk injury again. So I took that advice and ran with it. I took strength training real serious. I found a program that worked for me. Shout out TFW Rhode Island, and I stay super consistent with it. I've had a ton of what I like to call baby steps in progress. Like I can remember looking at the coaches, like their body language, and they don't admit this, but I think it's true. Like they'd be like, this guy runs marathons and he can't do, a split squat, because the stuff was brand new to me. The mobility, the balance, the single leg exercises, it was all brand new to me. So fast forward to becoming a client at TB12, where Alex transitioned to and invited me up there as a client. And they have an awesome facility. They treated me like a VIP. I was able to use the facility before and after the Boston Marathon, and their approach towards recovery and preparation and everything, from the pliability to the deep tissue stuff. All that stuff was just like, it was like magic to me to be able to have access to that, and to have somebody so passionate as Alex and knowledgeable as him to help me out. When I obviously, my style, I love to talk, if you can't tell. So when a couple of different
that's why we're here.
When a couple of different people got to meet me, the question came up like, hey, would you like to be featured in like a TB12 video? And there were a couple of things I had to do. I had to do like a video audition at one point, where I had to submit a video, hyping up myself and hyping up TB12. And I got selected, and they interviewed me at one of their offices. And then one of the young ladies that works there put this really cool video together, where it was me running at anchor down, hyping, myself up and yapping, included with one of the interviews from TB12 talking about my story of overcoming hardcore, drug and alcohol addiction. And she put it all together, and I'm like, this is incredible. So I say it all the time, the running / social media community has opened up so many doors for me and helped me stay on track. I was really, really excited with that video. So I'm obviously really excited that you watched it and that you're asking me about it.
It was such a cool video. I'm trying to find it right now, because I just I'm assuming Tom Brady liked it. And how cool would that be, coming across your notifications? Tom Brady liked your post.
It was featured, one of the segments was featured on his actual Instagram page.
Yes.
So I got to go to work and be like, I'm on Tom Brady's Instagram page. Like I was so hyped up about it.
I mean, that's how, honest to God, honest to God, I think I was watching it, and I think I was just watching Tom Brady's story, and I'm like, hey, it's Maurice, and hey, that's Maurice on Tom Brady's story.
I was really pumped up. So shout out to TB12 and shout out to Alex and obviously to Tom Brady. I got to be in the same skit as him on a social media commercial, so it was really cool.
That was cool. I'm glad I remembered to talk about that one. It ain't go digging deep. Ask ERIKA. Sometimes I go really deep into the Instagram.
He does do a deep dive, and it could get weird. So this one is one of the normal ones, I guess.
Yeah, anyone who posts a picture of their butt, sometimes I'm like, all right, what's going on in this butt photo? But I got one more thing, but I want ERIKA to ask her question, and then I want to ask.
Oh, I get to go.
Yeah. You go with yours, and then I have one more I thought of. I want to ask him.
All right, cool. So I don't know if you know, but we have a Spotify playlist. So we like to invite our guests to add a song. And if I know you at all, you're going to bring some positivity and motivation to this playlist. So do you have a song for
You're
us?
putting me on the spot. I listen to a lot of some of the same stuff on repeat. A lot of old school hip hop, everything from like Gangsta to Special Ed to Tribe Called Quest. So for positivity,
Oh, it doesn't have to be positivity. I just know that's your vibe.
Yeah, she's just not expecting a negative song, but can be any song you want.
So there's
could just be your favorite song.
There's a dancehall song called Big League that gets me really, really pumped up. I might have to get back to you on the actual artist. It might be Movado, but it's called Big League, and it pumps me up to think like you're in the big league now. Like you can't slow down. You can't take this lightly. Like you better train hard. You better work out hard. Because you're in the big league.
That's
now.
perfect.
Yeah.
I think the actual name of the song is
No
All Star
pressure,
by
no
Smash Mouth. He's talking about All Star by Smash Mouth. Hey now, you're an all star.
Should I put that on also
like that
just
song.
as like a
Maybe we should. All right, I thought of this part when you were telling me the story about when you started your streak and your son and his stepdad, who I think you're very close with. So that was 7 years ago. Even just recently, your son got married, so you probably saw your son's stepdad. And at any point, has he been like, "Hey, that 100-day streak is still going, and you're at day 2,700
Yeah,
plus"?
so
Has there been any interaction there about the streak and how he got you started, and you're still going?
Two different sons, but yes, the answer is yes. I still see son number one's stepdad, and I give him a shout out whenever I can. Shout out to Jose for encouraging me to do the first 100 days, and I've actually checked in with him. We've done a couple of road races together, like the Arnold Mills 4-miler and on the 4th of July and stuff. And I've checked in with them, and like at one point, and I was like, "Oh, tomorrow's gonna be like 2,200. Tomorrow's gonna be 2,475." And he's like that. He's like, and he gives me positive encouragement back. Like that is so awesome. Like, don't ever forget. Yeah. Like that's really awesome. Keep it going. But yeah, I love the fact that you've checked in on it, the fact that you're having me on here chatting with me about it. Like it keeps me going. It's constant fuel where I'm like, you're friggin' lucky that you have this community, that you have, 5 people that pay attention to you, never mind, 500 people or whatever the number may be on any given day. I'm wicked fortunate. That gratitude, never, ever, ever. I never want it to get lost, because I say things and I mean it in all sincerity. Like Instagram literally saved my life. I like to put, a little sprinkle of the darkness on there to remind people, like, I was the guy that like traded a smartphone for drug money at the end of the night. So like to have something like a social media community in my smartphone, I would never give up that platform, that community, like to have people that listen to me, that encourage me, like, hey, great job. Like, I get it. I get the fact that I'm like, hey, look at me, I'm sober. Like, listen to my story. Like, but I get fueled off of the positive feedback. So I can't thank you enough for the cool questions.
Yeah, man. Super pumped and proud. I think it's 3/12/2015 is the current sobriety, but you even did it for a few years before, and you had a relapse, but you rebounded and came back, and you're crushing it everywhere. So we're super proud of you, dude, and really happy that we're starting to get to know you better.
Thank you so much for having me.
So happy you came on the pod.
And we're just so thankful thank you for being honest. Like you shared your story with us. You didn't hold anything back. And I'm like 100% positive that you're going to get somebody else motivated out there just by listening to what you went through and how you keep going.
I hope so, because at the end of the day, it's not just, hey, look at me, look what I did. It's more like, look what you can do. If I can overcome some of those darkest moments, then no matter what you're struggling with, whether it's relationship, career, food, weight, exercise, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be. Not everybody struggles with alcohol and drugs. You know what I mean? It could be any dark moment that life throws at you, whether it's grief, whether it's anything. I'm big on mental health. We lost somebody to mental health. So I never want to be naive to like the fact that everybody's different and everybody's going through different things, but you can overcome that with just social connections, surrounding yourself with the right people, and picking up. My thing was the run streak. My thing was marathon training. I don't expect everybody to jump up and start training for a marathon, but you can find something that you're passionate about and just pursue it with a lot of gusto, and it will keep you on track to stay away from the wrong side of the tracks.
Good for you, man. We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
So do you want to tell the listeners where they can find you on Instagram? And do you have anybody you would like to shout out? Any brands, any certain coaches?
Lori.
So you can find me, Marathon Panda Maurice, on Instagram, Maurice Lowman on Facebook. Shout out to Ocean State Multisport, a local race organization that keeps the prices super modest. They do everything from 5Ks to halves to full marathons. And Gary Manessian is the director, and he opened his doors to me when I was brand new in this community and just kind of gave me the green light to come to all of his races whenever I have the chance, as long as I was outside yapping about sobriety. So big shout out to Gary Manessian and Ocean State Multisport. Look them up. They have all sorts of cool races. Obviously, Coach Lori is the absolute coolest person in the world to me. I love her and Paul so much, hence the hashtag inspired by Lori and Paul. I hope she never, ever gets sick of me. And I'm very, very fortunate to be coached by, a former Ironman / ultra marathon winner and all that cool stuff. And I hope that our relationship and friendship continues to grow, and that she knows how serious I am about becoming a better, stronger, more efficient ultra hybrid panda. I got to shout out BPN for giving me an opportunity to rep them for a little while. I'm a big believer in the genre of the hybrid athlete and the get strong, choose strong, like Sally and Yellow Runner. That stuff hypes me up so much. BPN gave me the opportunity to be an ambassador with their products. They say, prove yourself right and go one more. And I really, really get hyped up with that kind of stuff. It's not about what everybody else thinks. It's about what's here. And I say the thing all the time: if you don't want it in your heart and your mind, then you probably don't really want it. So
Ocean State Running.
Ocean State Multisport.
Gary from that place, does he have a lot of tattoos?
Yes.
Okay, that's his second shout out on the pod, Erica. Do you remember our other hype man from Rhode Island, Dave? Dave shouted him out.
Dave loves
Back on episode 10, Dave was like, "This guy's awesome." And I'm like,
he is awesome.
So cool. Thanks again. Last question. Promise you last question. I don't know if you noticed.
You have 11
I've been erasing my notes as I asked them. I have one left. Space Cadet. You met her at the Boston Marathon. You made it in her reel.
So that
was cool.
It's beyond cool. It's a perfect example of never stop what you're doing. Keep going. You never know who you're inspiring. All that cliche stuff is so true. When I came across her Instagram page, I was so excited and inspired by her Instagram style. She obviously gained a ton of followers in a short period of time and picked up a bunch of cool sponsorships like Nike and Dick's Sporting Goods and stuff like that. But it was just her authentic style, not caring and kind of just bringing her own little thing to the running community. I had so much respect for that. And to me, anybody that screams real deal, not to say that they there's so many cool people that I'm influenced by on a day-to-day basis. And if you don't like who you're following, then clean up your feed. If you see stuff that you don't like, then clean up your feed. I use it as such a positive tool. So to meet Erin and just to meet her, and it was so exciting. And then the fact that she was like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, you're the panda guy. We do follow each other." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh."
Nice.
It was so, I made her real and it was cool. I saw her actually twice that day.
Yeah, no, that was so cool. The best part was I didn't know she was there until we were recording with someone else, and Erica and Tara and Lindsay were like, "No, we saw her and we got in a reel, and so did Maurice." I was like, "This is awesome."
It was pretty fun.
Well, man, thanks again. This was fantastic, Erica. Anything else?
I'm just excited to get to talk to you again soon, and especially meet you in person at Anchor Down, if not before that.
Let's get it, Anchor Down.
Yes.
Shout out Jay. Shout out the whole organization of Anchor Down and True North Running.
I love the ADU community.
I got
so
hooked.
Good.
I said that they gained a lifer, so hopefully I'm there every single year.
Same.
Nice.
Yeah.
Same.
Nice. I hope to be there. I got to figure out some babysitting issues, but I hope to be there.
Bring the kids.
Okay.
Could you?
Okay. We need a babysitting team.
We'll talk.
kids.
We'll talk.
Guy, buddy, this was awesome.
Thank
Thanks
you
so
for
much.
having me. High fives and positive vibes. Always.
That's right. High five. Look at the elbow you never miss. Everybody, Maurice Lowman, a.k.a. the Marathon Panda on the On the Runs podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for making me feel special. And shout out to everybody out there that's lacing up and getting after it. Remember, we're the lucky ones. Be grateful for the grind all of the time. We get to do this. I appreciate everybody that's listened and you know, giving me a shot to, like, you know, tell my story. So thank you.
I am just so impressed with Maurice. I just don't know how he just oozes positivity all the time, but I am so thankful that he does. He just brings light to everyone he comes across. So, Maurice, keep doing your thing. We are so proud of you over here.
So much more we could talk about with him. So he will be a repeat guest. He was so cool.
Oh, yes.
He was so cool.
See, that's why you got to go back to Anchor Down so we can see these people again and just get to talk and get to know them in real life.
Do you want to address that?
It's going to be
Let's
awesome.
address it. Let's tell the world. Well,
How so?
I had to make a difficult decision this weekend.
Oh, that's right. That's not my news to share, man.
This has been really like hard on me. So when we signed up for Reach the Beach, we signed up for the ultra team and we're all committed. And this was like, we all said this back last October or last year at Reach the Beach. And then we pretty much got our team and committed back in January. If not, it was maybe December, right? And so things were good.
It was, yeah.
So in between then and now, Ashley changed jobs and her work days are now Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights, and occasionally a fifth night.
It makes it real hard.
And so I'm like, it's a bartending gig. So when you take time off, you don't have PTO. And I'm like, how? And then I got to get overnight babysitters or babysitters to at least 1:30 in the morning for 3 nights in a row. I'm like, I can't do that.
Right.
So I made
Reach the Beach is really hard though, because you do need a solid like 3-day commitment. It's just what it is.
So at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, and I don't have a solid yes or no yet, but I'm like, Anchor Down, same problem, but it's only 1 night. And I can do a babysitter for 1 night. I could even charge ERIKA for the babysitter. I could.
I would. If that's what it cost me to get you to crew, I would pay.
So
that's worth it.
Over the weekend, I backed out on Reach the Beach. And I did so knowing that I could help find a replacement runner. And I think I found someone stronger than me, faster than me, prettier than me. Everything is better than me. And the team is better off without me on a running.
I wouldn't say better off.
However, I promise you, the content is not going to be as good because I won't be there.
Well, that's true. You know me, I suck.
But I do think I can make it for like parts of the race during the day. I can even bring the boys with me. Especially
you just pop
Saturday.
into like the end of the race,
Saturday.
right?
Now, I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll give you a camera, like a camera, and just take a bunch of camera footage, not Facebook, Instagram story footage. And maybe I'll take all that footage you get and make a YouTube video.
Have a camera. Yeah. Brandon's got a GoPro. That's all. Too.
Yeah, GoPro would be perfect.
Use a GoPro.
GoPro. Maybe have like 2 cameras and have like Jay have one. Just get the footage.
Okay, now you're getting.
Get the footage, and then a month later, hope maybe I can make a YouTube video and kind of watch it.
We'll just send you everything, and then you do what you want with it. I mean, if we all take videos and stuff with our phones, I think we can get some good angles for you and the whole experience.
We'll talk more, but I'm officially out of Reach the Beach. And I said the only exception would be if someone got injured or hurt or something else happened, I could probably actually last minute join and be like, I need to go. They need a hero. And not all heroes wear capes, but I'm the hero they need. And play the hero role and figure it out. But no, I backed out. It was too hard.
You know what we could make you do though? If we do need somebody, we could have runners 1 through 5 just repeat, and then you could just run the 30-something miles at the end all by yourself.
30-something miles.
Yeah.
I'll call Lori and have her train me for 30. That was fun though. So yeah, sad, but relieved. And Anchor Down has a much stronger chance. And I also got the weekend. I got my Sunrise Ascent coming up. You're gonna start seeing posts about it. The next podcast when we're back a few weeks before, I'm going to start really talking about it. But I'm officially J2, J Parent. We're doing the Sunrise Ascent. I think it's my 11th year.
Awesome.
So
that's an awesome streak for you.
So let's talk about what's coming up, guys, because you're gonna start seeing those posts from me, and you're gonna start seeing like a link to donate. If you want to donate, no one has to donate, but if you want to donate for this cool cause, I'll talk about it more next month. But next week is 4th of July, and I'm taking a vacation. I'm going camping.
Good for you. Where are you going camping?
Well, we're going to be in the Twin Mountain area, a campground called Sugarloaf 2. There's Sugarloaf 1 and 2. They're next to each other.
I didn't know that.
2. It's right near Bretton Woods and the Cog Railroad. It's right near where we started, reached the beach.
Good area.
So I'm camping, but I'm not leaving you without a podcast to hear next week. So that guy, ERIKA, who is eating chips, who's he? Tell us who he is, and tell us what the people are going to get to hear next week.
You guys, you know I hate playing favorites. I really do. But if we're talking straight up comedy on this podcast, number 1 goes to Neil Murphy. It was episode 19 that he came on, and I probably laughed for the entire 90 minutes straight. So we are going to throw an On the Runs classic at you with Neil Murphy. He is pizza gut. Also chip eating on a toilet guy. You can call him whatever you want, but he is a wonderful, wonderful dude. Just will make you laugh for an entire episode. So go ahead, give that a listen. I hope you enjoy it as much as I clearly did. I've listened to it several times and just crack up every single time. It was
wonderful. Our leading downloaded podcast for quite a while. Ashley Paulson just took over that number 1 spot, the pole position.
She stole the crown.
God. She
did.
crushed it. I mean, she didn't just barely pass it. She blew it out of the water.
But, I mean, Neil has the straight-up humor. His way with words is unprecedented,
so
honestly.
That's going to drop on Monday, guys. Monday, July 3rd, not Tuesday the 4th. I'm dropping it on Monday for you, okay? Because some of you might have to go to work that Monday, and I want to give you something to hear.
I do.
So,
thank you.
So then Tuesday's the 4th of July.
It.
I hope everyone is fun and safe and has a great time.
Safe.
But if I get my work done before vacation, and I'm halfway done, on Thursday, I am going to drop a Road to Kona recap episode from parts 1, 2, and 3. Because when we come back, we have Scott Black on for part 4, and it is epic. And so the recap for a lot of you who have joined us in the recent year and maybe not gone back to hear all of Scott's stories from the journey of Road to Kona and crashing and getting sick and racing through thunderstorms and the heat and everything and crapping himself in hospital visits.
I think we need to dub him the king of Code Browns. I don't know if anybody has had more Code Browns than Scott.
Just in his most recent race alone that you guys are going to hear about in part 4 coming up. So check out the recap for Scott Brown. Scott Brown.
Sorry. I said Code Brown.
All right. That was awesome. What a fun episode. Guys, one last update. In a couple days on Thursday, we're going to drop an episode and talk about the Goffstown Gallup Trail Fest that you just did. And what else?
Western States.
All right, cool.
I just have to do a little fangirling there, so we'll save it for then.
Yeah, Thursday, guys. But this episode is awesome. Maurice, thank you so much, man. Your positivity, just like everything you do and you say. And that video you made for ERIKA's birthday, like...
Honestly, I'm so happy.
You were the man. Like the things you guys did prepping for these videos. Like Karen last night is messaging me. I wanted everything by Sunday night. I said, Karen, I don't have your video yet.
So she did it last night?
No. She did it this morning because she goes, I'm already in bed. I'm not doing it tonight. I'm like,
I was going to say, because she just ran a 50K and was probably exhausted. She did a lot of driving too. And
but I was like, Karen,
that's
just make a video of you in bed saying happy birthday, ERIKA. Well, no, she obviously had a plan to do it with the dogs. The dogs had the birthday hats, and she was in the penguin outfit.
She went above and beyond. Karen, I love you. Oh my God.
Episode 63.
My friends
Erica's
are
birthday.
so wonderful. Anyways, yes. We're wrapping it up.
We're wrapping it up.
Before I cry again, you guys, honestly.
We were supposed to talk about what went wrong for episode 62. Let's talk about it Thursday.
You want to? Okay.
We'll talk about
that's
Thursday.
fine.
We'll catch up. We'll throw that out there too. All right, guys. If you get the chance, go check us out on Instagram, and definitely go check us out on YouTube. Go and give us a follow there. Subscription. Give us a sub on YouTube. YouTube, it's kind of a soft opening right now. I am really super pumped about our YouTube channel and about the growth of this podcast. So give us a follow both on the gram and YouTube. TikTok, we're on there too, throwing some TikToks out there on occasion, just like our reels and clips from episodes like this one. So yeah. So go check it out. Thanks, guys. Thanks to everyone for following and for doing that. And we're going to get some really cool stuff on the YouTube channel soon. Can't wait for that to really grow.
Game on.
What an episode. Erica's birthday, Maurice, everything else. So much fun today. Thank you, Erica, and happy birthday.
Thank you guys for everything. You made my day so wonderful. And I guess I have to say this now. Don't forget to stretch.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
Dude, that was the best present ever.
Yes.
Honestly. I had a feeling you were going to do something like that. But it was way better than I ever could have anticipated. Whew.